What's up? What's up? What's up, friends, family, and fans? It's your boy Stone Stafford, and I consistently call myself boy, and I still don't understand why I do that. I have grays, if y'all can see that, coming in, which I'm still coming to terms with.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I do cry at night,
Yeah, that big
but
6-0 was big, man. That last 60th
yeah,
birthday
you
I
know
had
what? You know
was
what? It's not the right one, but you get the point. So
jeez, man. We got ladies in here today. You behave
I didn't
yourself.
know of the real
I
one.
got two of them.
I did. Oh, she does. Wait, but she did it slick. She like, oops. So yeah, man, what's up? It's me, boy. And as always, riding shotgun. I couldn't make it without him. My one and only Johnny.
What's up,
Do
man?
not call him Van
I
Vaughn.
appreciate you giving me my correct pronunciation for once. This is an
Johnny
ongoing
Vaughn.
bickering between us, Norris, so you may have to
It's
deal
not
with that
really.
today.
Hey Vaughn. Hey Vic. Hey Noree. Listen to me. Jeez. We're gonna introduce our guest, but real quick, I gotta ask her a quick question. If I wrote you a note and I said, "Hey, I just brought you a brand new VAN," how would you
Here he
pronounce that?
goes.
Then
Right. So if I said, "Hey, do you want to ride in my Vaughn?"
Oh God.
I'd be like, what part of the UK are you from?
Bam.
Well, that's what I was telling Stone is that the origin of the name that comes from is not American, so it's not pronounced Van.
I tell you what. Since you're feeling special right now, I'm going
No,
to
we're
allow
not
you
doing.
to.
Dude, we're not doing
I'm going to
this.
allow you to introduce our special guest. I'm going to do that here. I'm going to give you the crown. There you go. There it is. We got to figure out a way to do a graphic with that, yo.
But
We got to figure out a way to do a graphic.
without your hands cutting off. Well, I don't know a lot to actually say other than I feel closer to her than I think she even remembers me because I remember the first time she competed at this particular event that I won't say because Stone doesn't like to say it. And so on this event, I had just gotten promoted to one of the technical directors of the show, so I was producing the television part of it, and she absolutely blew my mind the entire week. And at the end of the week, I finally was like, "Hey, listen, I gotta meet you because I've been watching you all week. I'm Johnny." She said, "Hey," and she was the sweetest person. And then we took this dope picture together that I made my profile pic on Facebook for like 3 years at the dance party at the end of the week. She has been in.
I remember we had the glasses.
Yes,
Remember.
that's
I remember the moment.
that was
That
it.
sensory. Yep.
That was it.
Nice.
And I
Nice.
mean,
Johnny made an
it
imprint.
was magical just to meet somebody who was that phenomenal at her craft and still be just such a dope person. Because
Right.
you meet a lot of people at those things, and there are a lot of people that haven't done anything yet, but already have that air about them. And Nora was just an amazing person that whole week. Plus, just creatively, she just does so much dope stuff. I saw you in Little, which I thought was dope.
Yeah.
I
Congratulations.
loved your cameo in Queen Sugar. I thought that was dope. You held three things down in American Crime Story back in 2016. I thought that was absolutely dope. And then the funniest thing that I've seen you in, my homeboy Ricky Smiley, the Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Uh,
Simone. Simone.
Simone from the Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Everybody, the beautifully, the talented, the just awesomely phenomenal Miss Noree Victoria.
We need a button. We need a sound effect.
Oh, we got yeah.
Listen, thank you for having me and thank you for remembering those moments along the journey. Those are the things that when I sit back and I think about what has enriched me during this time, meeting people and being able to walk a path with people that have dope spirits and dope souls and
Yeah.
can take the journey with me as I tell the stories. Thank you for that introduction.
Absolutely.
Stuck, man. I have no moments. None. Zero.
You have a lot of them, Stone, because
Well, I have moments where I saw her perform and she was amazing, and that's about it. Ends there.
well, I'll tell
But
you what, one thing Johnny was like, do you remember Stone? Of course I remember Stone. I just remember the care in which you handled your business at Icon. And
Icon. Have you
yeah,
been to Icon?
yeah, I've been to Icon. I had a table read at Icon. I
Hey.
yes, I remember you guys having so much integrity and
Hey.
the way you talk about your equipment and the care that artists needed to take care of the equipment in the same way. I don't forget these things about
Look
people.
at that. Wow. That's impressive. Okay, so we have our moment. I'm gonna accept that. We have our moments. So look, can you so everyone's like, all right, I hear y'all, you introduced her or whatever. She sounded amazing. What did she do? So at this point, they might be asking who you are. But before we answer that question, if you're watching this or listening to this, you already know there's a little symbol that has like this little thumb, right? Go on and click that. That means you like this. Or there might be one that has a little heart. That means you like this as well. Go on and click that. Now, there might be a symbol of a little man down in the corner. He might have a plus sign, or it might have a little triangle. That means share. So we want you to go ahead and just share and type in the first thing that pops up and share it with them. Trust me, they're going to thank you later. You're going to make somebody's life amazing by sharing life on podcast. And now, with no further ado, we want to find out who this lady is that we have on here that we call Noree Victoria. So, Noree, why don't you
Yeah.
tell the good folk about you? And I'm really just open up, say, what is it that you do, but what have you been up to? Like, just give us some 411 if you can.
Well, most recently, I just a couple weeks ago came off of producing a feature film in Chicago, and that was quite a feat in this current climate that we're in.
You can imagine.
Keeping everybody healthy and safe, and the managing not just the talent but the resources and the anxiety levels that we're having right now as creatives. I hadn't seen my family in over a year, so I decided to covertly fly into Baltimore. I had on full hazmat gear. I hid out and isolated for 10 days. They didn't even know I was there, tested negative three times, and surprised my parents, and they just lost it. They lost their business.
That's
Was this
awesome.
was this over the holiday break or?
Happened. I just got back about a week ago.
A
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Wow.
And my parents in over a year, my family, and with the year we've had, I just had to lay eyes on them.
Yeah.
I just had to see them.
Yeah,
So
sibling?
that's that. Produced the film in Chicago. I just shot another one in LA. It'll be out next year. It's called Kings of LA. I've we can pick what you want to talk about. I've been in the streets as an activist. I have
You say
developed.
you've been in the streets. You got to qualify that. 'Cause I was like, well,
Yeah. Like, wait
that
a
was a
minute. I
fast
just got through
backward
talking
slide.
about how sweet you were. You moving packs now, Nori? What?
That's what I'm saying. That was a fast backward slide. Like, what happened? Okay, you've been okay. Got you.
Listen, this. I just spoke to someone about purpose and vehicle of purpose, right? And so a lot of people may say that Prince's or Michael Jackson's or Beyonce or Viola Davis, their purpose is to be on stage and entertain and just share their art. No, their purpose is to touch the hearts and minds of people. The vehicle is their art, right? And so when I began this journey as a child, I always knew I wanted to help people. I always knew I wanted to, growing up in Baltimore, look at people's circumstances and see how I could improve them. I was also raised with the very strong influence of my father, who's always said, you only have to follow the rules if the rules are fair. And that's including my rules. And so there's this concept of fairness that has followed me throughout my lifetime. And when it doesn't matter what I'm doing, whether it's producing, whether it's writing, whether it's acting, I am always, whether you see me or not, on in the streets, in the city council offices, on the phone,
Nice.
um, emailing, seeing what resources I can get to people at Alexandria House. It's a home for women and children with Red Eye Inc. in South Central. It's a lot, and so I just feel really fortunate to have a platform to be able to create and open portals for that. So yeah, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. I was out there this summer.
Nice.
In the process of being out there, obviously, and I mean, I remember this about you, and I mean, I follow you closely on social media, even though I'm kind of a ghost on social. But your spirit comes across as extremely empathic to me. So when you're in the streets, as you say, and you're dealing with these social injustice issues, and you're trying to advocate for it, how do you how are you able to stay in the proper mindset to carry the strength that's necessary? Because, and I'm assuming right now that that empathic thing that I feel coming off of you is a real thing. But if it is, I do know that that can create some challenges when you're doing that type of work. So how are you able to just balance it psychologically and emotionally to actually continue to carry that torch, to be out there and being an activist?
You are correct. It is something, empathy is something that I cannot, even if I wanted to, I couldn't shed from my person, from my spirit. I walk with a gift and a curse daily. I think it's a gift to be able to feel and be able to take on the humanity of other people because I see so much beauty in it. Even when people are in pain, even when people are in poverty, even when people are out of their minds, I feel a connection to that person, right? And so it's a constant, I just told someone this, it's a constant weight that I was chosen though. I was chosen to carry it because I can handle it. And that doesn't mean that there aren't days and moments where I'm like, oh, man, this is a lot, but I celebrate the fact that I can handle it. When I was young, my both of my parents were shot in front of me, right? And you know, there's a reason why, and they attempted. There was an attempt on my life as well. It's a home invasion. There's a reason why I'm here, and when I see things that are, some people might call them hard, I prefer to call them challenges, and we, get to the other side of them and you reach your arm out and you pull somebody else over it. You get to the other side of another one, you reach your arm out and you pull somebody else over it. And I can't, there's something in me that won't let me stop. I can't stop. I don't have a choice.
All right. No, that's amazing, and I didn't know that about your parents actually. So
They
condolences.
both survived. They both yeah,
Awesome.
they
There
both
it is. Okay.
survived. Yep.
There it is. My room literally got dim for a second there. So
Mhm.
seriously, that's awesome. That's still an amazing thing to have to even deal with when you're that young. And I agree with you that, and Johnny and I went back and forth on this on purpose as to why we are here. Because I always tell people that everyone has. I always say your calling is your gift, and your purpose is how you share that gift with the world. That's what I believe. And because you have so many people always asking the question, why am I here, or what's the purpose? And I always say, look at that thing that you do that just comes naturally, that you do with excellence above board, that maybe I have to learn, you have to teach me. Like, that's an anointing, that's a gift. Now you have to figure out, how do you use that thing? And when you do that, you will find your purpose on this earth. And it isn't always grand. Sometimes it's something small, just a relationship with a doggone 5-year old. You've only been in their life for 6 months, but then you made a literally a impact that changed the entire trajectory of their life. That was your purpose. And so, I mean, it gives, if anything else, it gives people hope. And one thing I find in this whole COVID pandemic, there's so many people that are depressed and down. And for those who lost loved ones, I absolutely empathize and sympathize with you. But at the same time, don't stay in that muck and mire, because I feel that we are in a once in a lifetime opportunity. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to reset, to reprogram, to rediscover or
Yeah.
discover for the first time. So, like what you said with challenges, I always, I call them opportunities, opportunities for growth, opportunities for improvement, or even opportunities for wisdom, because no failure is final. You're now wiser as to why you failed. What do you say?
Unless you stop, unless you quit. That's
Unless you quit. Exactly. So I love hearing that about you. So with all the things you're involved in, and there's a reason why we call this listening, inspiring friends, and entertainment. And we play with everyone, right? Everyone, everywhere, everywhere. Because it is for people outside of entertainment as well.
yeah.
But I have such a deep rooted and seated belief that the entertainment industry is the pulse of humanity. You
Yeah.
know, we use the word brainwashing like it's a bad thing. But if you have wrong thinking and you want to change your thinking, then you wash your thoughts, you wash your brain, right? And I think entertainment is that. Say again.
About consumption and the quality of that consumption.
Exactly. Exactly. And so my thing is what you watch, what you listen to, you know, whether it's music, TV, film, whatever it is in entertainment, it has a huge impact on molding and shaping how you think and who you are. So that's really the core purpose of this podcast. And so since you're in the heart of it all, now you're and correct me if I'm wrong, you're like the vice chair of a filmmaking association, right? Was it Filmmakers of Los Angeles or something?
I'm the first Black woman vice chair of New Filmmakers Los Angeles.
So what does that mean? What do you do there?
It's an organization that has been around for 14 years. We are in the process of becoming Academy qualifying, where I would call us an institute, right? Kind of like Sundance, where it's not just screenings, but you have labs and workshops and educational opportunities and resources and networks. And we don't do it once a year. We have a monthly film festival, and we were doing it in person. And we didn't skip a beat. We moved virtually when everything shut down in March.
Mm-hmm.
And what we get, we screen over 160 projects a year, right? And each month we have an in focus. So there may be an in focus on Black cinema, women's cinema, ageism, veterans, Middle Eastern, Arab, and Dutch cinema. We have relationships with consulates in 19 different countries. And we work with the governments and countries. We flew in one time, oh gosh, we had people from as far as India. We've had people win Academy Awards. Our alumni, we got another alumni of their first job directing with Disney. And so we are a conglomerate, a little engine that does a lot. And a lot of people haven't heard of us. A lot of people don't know what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times you'll have film festivals or institutes where you screen, and once you screen, that's it. It's on you. We hold on to you. We nurture you throughout your career, and you can always come back. We have a Stage 5 series. We have a mentorship program where we mentored 42 young people. We connect them directly with unions for union jobs, for union training in the entertainment industry.
Nice.
Yeah, we have, we provide resources for funding, for distribution. If you go to our website, it'll have everything and all the tentacles that we have out there. We have some impressive alumni, really. And I got involved in this organization. It was the year that I did The People versus O.J. Simpson. We were nominated for 22 Emmys, and I was accepting an award at Made in Hollywood Honors. And our executive director, Larry LeBeau, he was there. He saw me present. He said, "You have something. Do you mind accepting an award or presenting at one of our events?" And I looked at these people that were running this organization. And I said, you know what? Hollywood talks a lot. They say a lot about certain issues, diversity, inclusion, and being on the forefront of movements and this and that. But this is one of the only organizations that I've ever met where they actually walk the talk. And I was so impressed, I kept volunteering. I just came back. I wasn't expecting to be invited to be on the board of directors and then voted in vice chair. So I kept showing up and volunteering and helping filmmakers. And like I said, you know, art is what we like to define sometimes in history books, moments by wars or leaders or certain pandemics. But when you look at points in history, there's always a period of art that went on at that time.
Sure.
A period of creation, a renaissance, or something that told the stories of that time, because we have a special gift to take everything that's going on in humanity and interpret it for those who are not close to artistic endeavors or close to creativity. So we tell the stories. We're the keepers of history. We're the keepers of how people will view this time and this pandemic. People will look at what we drew, what we wrote, the poetry, what we created, what we put on TV. And really be able to clearly identify what was going on at that time. So yeah, that's I wrote a series this past year. I developed an entire series. I graduated from a screenwriting program. I've been doing a lot. 2020, like you said, had a lot of open portals, a lot of open doors. And honestly, in March, I was doing so much running around, not just for, auditions, but just meetings. I also helped run the alumni association for the British American Drama Academy. I attended in 2018, became close with the dean. That Chadwick Boseman attended the British American Drama Academy.
Mhm.
And so I just have this magnet that when I meet people, I'm like, all right, come on, this is part of the journey. You're part of the journey too. Let's do all right, like come on. But I was doing so much hosting happy hours for incoming British American Drama Academy students and the board meetings and when the word came that we had to sit down, I was like, okay, let's sit down. Woo, let's sit down. Let's sit down for a minute. Let's regroup. Let's see what's going on with the world. Let me tune into my gifts that I am not using when I am sitting in traffic, when I am on my way to a meeting, when I'm trying to get dressed for a red carpet event, what can I do now?
Right.
Now that we've gotten that, of course we're Zoom Nation right now. Some
Yeah.
of us are tapped out of that, but it is what it is. We found ourselves with a lot of open portals, a lot of opportunities, a lot of time. And it wasn't even just a decision for me, it was a relief and a knowing and awareness that I knew I had some things that I wasn't going to have that I didn't have before as far as
Mhm.
time and not sure how long we would have it. I mean, we're almost a year. We're going on a year in.
Yeah.
I've registered for the classes. I've always written. I've always wanted to write. I wrote Harry Potter type fiction, but I've always wanted to write in screenplay format. So I took that on. I took the intersectionality of who I am. I come from, gosh, Baltimore. I live in LA. I've spent some time in the Philippines. I've done academia in corporate America, and the intersectionality of all that culminated in a series about my hometown being exploited by one of the biggest institutions, medical research institutions that exist. And there's been stories about it, but I wanted to really bring together the hood, academia, the resilience of people who decide not us anymore,
Mhm.
and bring my personal perspective growing up in Baltimore and being able to walk both lines. And boom, Neighborhood H was born. So we have a series, guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
I had
Yeah.
two questions, literally just two questions for this whole podcast. I'm gonna get up and leave now because you literally just knocked. I was gonna ask you one, NMFLA. Like, what were they doing? What were you doing? What was your hand in helping to kind of guide these new creatives in this new world that kind of became what was 2020? And then the other question was with the service industries around the country being filled with our people in the industry. There's a lot of waitresses, a lot of gig workers, photographers on the side that were adversely affected by this communally. In FMLA, like, was it creating like a hub for people to kind of just become that support group for one another to kind of bounce ideas and figure out what that new direction was? And literally everything you just said did two things for me. One, it showed how much I truly believe that Noree just walks into her purpose, as y'all would say, because as I was going to ask that question, you asked it, you answered it fully before I could even get it out. Because that's the number one question on creators' minds that ask me is like, Jay, what are you doing right now? And what I'm doing may not necessarily work for everybody. So I always try to get a group of us together to kind of just bounce ideas, and then we come to some conclusion on what could be a possibility. And you are literally running a hub for creatives to not only discover what they're doing, but to support one another through what the situation is. And
Mm.
at the same time, you're finding time to rediscover your own personal art. and that's the one thing I think people forget because we get so wrapped up in creating and being a part of other people's creations that we forget that we have those skills and those talents that lay dormant and that lay. Stone likes to call it my baby that I'm not rocking. Is that how you said it? The baby that I'm not taking care of. That's
Something like that.
it,
Orphan.
the
Your
Orphan.
book,
orphan is what you
Orphan.
called it.
your creative orphan.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I, there were a lot of people who really took the transformation of our industry hard. And I asked them a couple of questions. I said, okay, so especially as an actor or writers, when you engage in the industry, with your creativity, how many times do you get a yes? And how many times do you get a no to go to the next level when you engage this industry? And 95% of the time, and we all know this, we get no's, right? And I said, so guys, your gatekeepers are gone. Your gatekeepers are taking a break right now. Take this opportunity to launch whatever it is you want to do into the
Right.
stratosphere. You're
Right.
you're chasing, and granted, it's part of the process. We all got to audition, we all got to submit, we all got to pitch. We do, but you have an opportunity to create yourself, and you don't have to worry about who is saying yes or no. Say yes to yourself every single day. So I woke up every single day, I said yes to my writing. I woke up every single day, I said yes to. I also, you guys are gonna be like, this is too much. I also I fostered relationships are so important. So when I was running and taking care of the alumni of the British American Drama Academy, one of my friends, what I decided to do was one of my colleagues was over at Netflix International. So I decided also to take care of my home audio studio while we were down. I made some investments in my audio equipment and ended up he I mentioned it to my friend. He said, "Do you want to dub international films?" I said, "Of course." So I've dubbed two films, feature films, one that a Portuguese film and one Danish film, feature films that are on Netflix right now, and it's just been a time of
You absolutely right. I'm gonna say it. That's too much, Nori. You can't just keep falling
too
into stuff.
much.
All right, so for us novices, so basically they give you the script or whatever. So when they're talking in Portuguese, you're saying it in Spanish. I mean, in English over the.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
get a chance to act out what's going on in English as they're
That's
saying it
fun.
or Danish. And one is called Asphalt Burning, and it's such a riot. It's this comedy about this woman. She's engaged, and her fiance doesn't know she has an old girlfriend. And so this man that she's about to marry and her old girlfriend, they run this. They're like pit. I don't know what you call it. Pit people in NASCAR. They have this race every year.
Right.
So they come together and they race for her love. And the girl is a single parent and she doesn't have money and she always has the baby in a tire instead of a playpen and a big tire playing. And it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see artists internationally. I've always loved taking my art beyond the borders of the United States.
Can I ask a technical question about it?
Yeah.
And forgive me. Like I've studied your IMDb page and your credits, but I don't remember seeing any. Have you done animation?
I've done one indie animated project,
Okay.
and you may know Crystal Roberson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the beginning of her career, she said, "I want to try to do an animation," and she asked me. I was just starting out. Can you do West African? Can you do West African girl? I said, "We'll try," and we did it. And I played SC. It's called Autumn. You can find my voice on YouTube. It's called Autumn.
That wasn't
But
even my question. That wasn't
I
even
would love, I would absolutely love to do
more animation
animated
stuff.
because I have a high register. It's just my register just is very,
That was
it,
gonna be
it,
the technical question. Was like if you done some animation stuff, what was the difference between like obviously if people don't know what lip flap is, like when you're doing animation, they animate the lips to move and you sync your words in between that. But you
yeah,
for the film that you were just talking, you were doing that with it wasn't even actual. I mean, it's lip flap, but I mean it wasn't like animated to fit what you were saying. You were trying to sync Or were you
It's
even
like the
thinking about that?
heist.
Were you just doing the English line and saying it doesn't matter if it syncs up at all? Or were you just trying to?
No, it has to sync. There's timing. It goes very fast. The application we use, you have to follow the words. And not only that, but the emotions and the feelings. So
Right.
it's acting, it's technical, it's your mind, mouth, brain, heart connection. It's not simple.
Yeah. Have you
And
done it before this film? Besides the animation, had you done that before this film?
I had not. I just got thrown in there, and the directors, they just were so amazing. They were like, "You're a natural at this."
Yeah.
I was like, "Great!" And I'm doing this voice. They were like, "Can you do one more? Can you do the baby? Can you do?" I was like, "Okay, we'll see. We'll do the baby." It's just-
No, really, so like that's a real talent, and it's actually a very big compliment to you because, like, one of the things. Are you guys familiar with the show The Heist, that Netflix
Yeah.
series, The Heist?
yes, I
I'm
haven't.
not. I won't say character because I'm not trying to bash it or whatever. But there's one character in there. Voice annoys me, and honestly, I stopped watching it for a while because I couldn't stand to hear this overdub voice. And so, like, literally, she could go in there. You could go in there and either ruin somebody's film or make people love it. So it's actually a very big compliment. And then not only were they happy with what you did, then they say, "Can you do this character? Can you do that character?" So that's a pretty big deal. You got a guy coming in looking like this, and then he starts talking, goes, "Hey man, don't mess with me." Like that don't work. That don't work. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. And casting with Netflix International, they're very specific. They listen to you, they listen and listen and listen. And I did have to submit a conversation just talking about my day and what I
mm,
do and what I'm passionate about. And they listen for your emotion and what you're talking about. And if you overdo it, they want samples of you just introducing yourself. If you're because you don't want to, in this case, outshine the actual actor. Like you said, you don't want to pull focus from the story. You really have to fit the story vocally and emotionally and technically. So I'm looking forward to doing more of those projects as we navigate where we go in 2021 in this
it's
industry.
fun. I mean, do you see that as exciting? Do you see it as an adventure, or are you worried or concerned, or
I'm not worried one bit.
yeah?
I my journey, I did not start out in entertainment. My journey, and it's interesting because people say, in this country, there's so much focus on you gotta pick one thing. You gotta find the thing. You can do whatever you want.
Say it.
I am such a curious person and I want to know so much about so many different things. I have taught biology. I've been a high school biology teacher. I built Black and Decker's first automated expense reporting system because I went back and got a master's in information technology. I've had products, natural hair and skin products company because at the time when I was started being interested in the health of my skin and hair, I couldn't afford the products that were on the market, so I decided to make my own. And I had my own lab going in my kitchen and had people delivering my products to
Wait,
stores.
Stone's about to cry because you could have
I'm
saved his
feeling, I'm
hair
feeling
before he
highly
lost it.
intimidated. I'm feeling highly
Oh,
intimidated and underaccomplished
get
right
in. Get in. Come on, get in. Don't feel intimidated. Buckle up
now.
and ride with me.
Go ahead. What else? What else? What else have you done, Swiss Army human?
Yeah, I like that. I love that. Uh, yeah, I almost endeavored because there was this store. So I know my family history. We're our ancestry. We're Ethiopian, and I'll claim Ethiopian, but we're Ethiopian Dutch English. But I love I have a proclivity, a natural drawing to Ethiopian culture. So there was a shop that opened up around the corner from me, and they spoke Amharic, and I started teaching myself
Nice.
to speak Amharic because every once in a while I'll get approached and people ask, Abisha, and I'm like, no, I don't. And I got ripped a new one time because I said I wasn't. I said my ancestors are Ethiopian because I don't want to claim something or appropriate something that I'm not. I'm just, I'm black. I mean, And they were like, no, if you have one drop of Ethiopian blood, you belong to us. And I was like, okay, all right, let's
Wow.
this language
Until
then.
you go to Denmark, then you got to deal with
Right,
that.
right,
now,
right, right.
question. You said you started to teach yourself the language. How did it come along? How are you with the language now?
I put that,
What I'm
that
gauging is, are your failures greater than Stone and I's successes? Is what I'm trying to figure out. Because you,
well, I had an English chocolate glass, so I put that down for a little while because I couldn't visit the store anymore. When everything shut down, I was teaching myself words so I could speak to them because the wife she didn't speak any English,
okay.
and so I was I was learning just really to speak to them and own, that part of my ancestry. So I wonder how they are. It's stories like that in the pandemic as an empath that I can't let go of. I think about 1,000 people maybe every day, literally 1,000 different people, and wonder how they're doing.
Wow.
I
I, I'm, yeah, I'm. You're starting to look a little bit like Jesus, so I'm trying to bring myself back
Yeah,
to
Stone's getting
reality.
to that point. He just wants to touch that garment. That's all he wants to do right now.
I'm
But
just there. You go. So I'm.
Listen, I look
I'm
at it as a privilege to be able to just meet the people that I have and these journeys that I've had and the experiences that I've had. Like if you ask me who I remember in my lifetime, it's not going to be, and listen, I don't want to disparage execs or, people with a lot of things, but it's the people that I meet in the corner stores that inspire me to learn Amharic.
hmm
It's the kids that, man, when we had this current administration had it shut down, but when I was able to go to the rec center, there was a boy who walked up to me when Obama was president and asked, "Can you draw an American flag on my arm?" And I was like, "Yeah." We were having face painting and stuff. It's like it's the kids, the people, it's the
Yeah.
person playing the guitar on the beach that I stop and I'm like, "Good vibes, dude." It's that. That's
You know what you're doing right now.
what.
You're giving the whole synopsis of soul. Is what you're doing right now. You
You
found
know,
your spark.
oh wait, I watched that and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
everything makes sense. Everything makes sense." And when I was watching it with my fam when I was back in Baltimore, and when the Mystics came up, that everybody looked at me
they looked
like,
at you.
Yeah.
See, I
I
feel
was
bad
like,
because
'cause
everybody around me has had a response like Noree, and the only thing I had when I was watching, I was like, "I'm 22. Why am I like?" That was my whole thing. Was like
and it's
realizing that my spark was just experiencing stuff as opposed to finding one actual thing to lock in
Yep.
on.
But you know what? 22 is major. If you're
Yeah.
22, you're major. Like when I go places, like that, the tree propeller, the lollipop, the string, the thread. I have what I would like to call an altar in my house, right? It's an altar of experiences, things I collect from everywhere. And when I got emotional when the things came out of the pocket because I have a feather from a random pigeon when I was in the UK. I have rocks from Jamaica. I collect rocks everywhere I go. My mom always said, "You always had a pocket full of
Just
crap."
junk.
Like I
Yeah.
would wash the clothes, you had rocks, you had these things, and that's my life. Like that's the collection of the oracles of your life are in the experience that you can put your hands on. And I tell people, listen, your legacy is what can't be erased if water gets into a circuit board and everything goes down. Your legacy isn't on an app. Your legacy isn't a timeline. Your legacy
Right.
is your followers, your likes, your online presence. It's the things you can put your hands on that you had in your pocket at the end of the day. The
hmm
people, you can touch around you. And man,
So,
you
all
know,
right, I wasn't gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it because it's you got me all in my feels right now.
yeah,
So,
let's be in the fields.
yeah. So there was a second moment that I had with Nori. that I think about all the time just because it's connected to something that my wife got me. Noree posted a story on Facebook like 6 years ago about something that was lost. And I sent you a Facebook message and I said, my wife gave me a 1 year anniversary necklace and I lost it. And then I gave some details on how reading your story made me feel bad about it. And you wrote back one thing. You just said, "Thank you. Just keep knowing that it's out there somewhere." And as simple as that was to actually say, one, it took me to the whole thing of I'm a person that I'm not real big on possessing things, but like you, I do collect stuff, rocks too, and seashells. I'm real big on seashells.
Hey, me
Not
See,
me. I'm not in that club.
Stone just collects dirty socks in the corner that he needs to wash. He won't wash. He will not wash clothes. But those small things, like when you talk about people, like thousands of people you think about, believe it or not, you are one of those people that I randomly think about because of those two interactions that we've had over the course of a decade plus. And literally, we've been in the same room together 6 times total. I'm sure no more than that ever. But that profound impact because of how you approach just your general outlook on things and being able to move from one situation and take what's from that situation to the next situation and not allow anything to actually hold you back into any of those and still keep moving forward, I think is a testament to what most of us should really be striving to do in general. Because if we could get to that mindset of taking the experience or taking the connection and allowing that connection to just be a part of us, we won't be stuck in those ruts that Stone talks about because we'll continue to just move to the next experience. And I appreciate you for having two of those moments that I literally, honestly, I think about randomly all the time.
And I've heard the background music when those thoughts come in this drink. There's a hero. Look inside your soul.
that that Johnny, that fuels me. And I'm not just saying that. That fuels me. The other day, I was just sometimes I'll pop on live and just chat. And this 19-year-old young lady, she said, I just want you to know you've taught me more on this live than anyone's ever taught me my whole entire life. And I'll never forget that. Like I'll never this journey, I am not imbued to the desire of money or attention or fame or possessions or things. It's with the people. And you are one of my people, Johnny. Really, you are one of my people. I I rarely forget an like when you said the picture of the glasses, I knew exactly the thread in this whole journey where you were in that. And so thank you for sharing those stories with me because that is what I need to know. Like I need to know that that's my gas, my fuel to keep going.
And we just mentioned something about that, Johnny, in another episode. Remember how we were talking about you have no idea
Yeah,
who you're touching
exactly.
whatsoever? Like you have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and it is important sometimes if there is someone who's made an impact in your life or whatever, sometimes just to mention it to them. And we know you're not doing it necessarily to suck up to them or nothing like that. But that, she used the term healing, which is true,
Mm-hmm.
or it's encouraging, or it gives them motivation to continue doing.
I
Because
like how she said
even
it. She said that's my gas. I like that.
gas,
I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Because you never know, even because we're all human, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lori may have her moments where she's like, "Man, am I even doing anything?" And it might not be that deep, but we have our moments
Them though.
where
I've
we.
had them. I've had moments where, and I had a moment in Atlanta, right? So it's interesting, and I'm watching. I just want to, in this industry, I want to do the right thing and the thing that's truthful and authentic to my heart. And if things don't speak to me, I have no problems walking away from it. I don't care how shiny the opportunity may look. And there was one point where I felt like I was looking around me and I was like, man, there's some fast tracking going on, but I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror. I need to be able to still call myself Norman's daughter with pride. Like I still need to, be able to live with myself, and I'm just not drawn to that. But certain things, but it just seems like there's a fast track sometimes in this industry, not sometimes, a lot of times.
Mm.
And and you're like, I'm working so hard and I'm doing everything that I feel like is authentic and true to me. And maybe that track just isn't a part of my story. And you just have to become at peace with it because while these celebrations are going on this fast track, I've seen a lot of suicides. I've seen a lot of people, succumb to pressures and being who they're not. And so everything isn't what it appears to be. And every once in a while, there was a point in time where I had to remind myself, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And then the journey is the gift as well. There are people who they aren't even allowed to create under penalty of death and
Right.
punishment in certain places in the world. So listen, when I hear the stories, it's a cipher. It's like a freestyle cipher. You gave me that, okay, I'm gonna take it. I'll give you this. You give me that, I'm gonna give the next person this. And it matters. It doesn't matter that we've never worked together or that we haven't had an opportunity to create together. We already have, like, I don't want to get too ethereal here, but on a spiritual
You
level,
can't get too
No,
ethereal with
you
us.
we
can't.
have
We go
created
there.
already.
Go there.
Oh
Go
yeah,
there.
yeah.
We
Oh yeah,
have.
I'm sitting. I listened to my 528 hertz right before we got on this and all that, so we can go there. But you touched on three things, and I always have to be careful because I'll be forgetting crap. Is one, I love this podcast only because I have the saying where you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be right. And one thing I know about this podcast is that it's right. And one reason why I know is guests or even Johnny will say something unbeknownst to me. We always touch on things that are relevant. Like you literally just touched on a whole podcast we just did on shortcuts, and you didn't even know it. We just did that podcast, and when you see, this is where I forget stuff. Oh, you mentioned the suicide thing.
Mhm.
Just for your edification, and for those of you who are listening, if you want to go to episode 2 on how we started, you can do that. But I did a thing called Life. And again, it was called Listening, Inspiring Friends, and Entertainment. But what it was actually like a Bible study I ran out of Sony office when I ran Sony. And the reason why I started it is I just wanted to create this intimate group where the same people would show up, hopefully over and over, over and over again of their own volition, to the point where we began feeling so comfortable with one another that you started sharing things you were dealing with. And these were all people who were in entertainment, but you would talk about things for some reason you felt you couldn't talk about other people because you're an artist or because you're this kind of producer. And what sparked that was the death of Shakir Stewart, who I was kind of close to. And I knew of other people that took their lives. And I was like, but they felt like they couldn't talk about whatever it was that moved them to make that decision.
Jazz Waters.
And that's how Life got started. But over time, eventually Life ended up getting shut down. And so I talked to Johnny. I said, listen, man, we got to bring this back. I've had so many people asking, are we ever going to do this again? I said, why don't we do a podcast about it? Well, he asked me, why don't we do a podcast about it, this and that. And so that's how this
That's not how that happened. I said, Stone, why don't you do a podcast about it? And then Stone said, well, I'm not gonna do it unless you do it. And I was like, that's not what I was. Okay.
Right.
And what was happening in that moment, and the reason why I want to correct the story, because in that moment I was fighting against some stuff personally myself. And Stone pulling me into doing this was not only something that we were creating a platform for our entertainment brethren and sisters, but it was something I needed in that moment too. So when we started doing it, it became not only an outlet for people that can ask us questions and then we talk back to it, but I've been spilling my guts on this thing for the last 14 months now. Because when I'm at work, like when I'm on the air, when I'm Johnny Vaughn, there's certain things I can and can't talk about. I'm bound by the FCC. I'm bound by the rules of Cox Media Group. There are things I can't do. I'm looking at an email right now. When you get to work tonight, don't say this about what happened this week. Like here, just like Stone said, when I feel like I can't talk about certain things, even if me and Stone do it offline, it always finds its way into a podcast some kind of way. And it always ends up being that thing where it's like, I didn't really want to do this. I was going to talk Stone into doing it because I saw Stone needed to do it. But I think he saw that I needed it just as much, and he pulled me into it. And it's probably been one of the best things over the last 14 months, honestly. So that's
Absolutely.
why I correct you when you say it like that, because
Well, now I know. Now
yeah,
I didn't even know all of that, but now I know. But Noree, you fit into this story because of all the things you just said yes to, right? And I talk to people all the time. They're so worried about, because one of the first things they hit me back. Well, if I focus on so many things, that I can't really be great because you can't give 100% to this. And I was like, I get that. But as of right now, you don't even know what to focus on. So why are you even trying to make that decision? Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and get your master's. Go ahead and learn, whatever the language is. I don't know.
stop
You
it!
know,
I keep telling you to stop doing that.
what? Is that not a language?
It Gosa is a language, but
There
don't
are clicks. There are clicks in
Thank
Amharic.
you. So what's the problem?
because Stone,
You
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 do it in a way
are
that feels real
I do
Donald
it because I don't
Trumpish.
know the name of it. I do it because I don't know the name of it. Anyway, my
You see
point
how
is,
Nori set back on that when you started doing it? Yeah.
she was like, I don't know him. I don't, but you fit that mold. So you're kind of the right. You're kind of the living, breathing example of a lot of the stuff we've been talking about. So when you're saying things, I'm like, holy crap, we did a podcast on that. We did a podcast on that. It's just an affirmation that Johnny and I are doing what we're supposed to be doing. And the beauty of that is, if this blows up and we end up getting $100 million deal or whatever from Spotify or whatever, which I receive gladly. But if that doesn't happen, I already know we've touched
I love that
a
you
few.
keep using Joe Rogan as our blueprint. I'm gonna receive that too. I'm not mad
I
at it.
set a bar somewhere, and if I can visually see it, then I'll go there. I can go beyond that, but 100 million is a nice next step. I'm not mad at
Hey,
it.
I wouldn't be mad at that
Right.
either. But it's interesting on that same topic. It was at the convention that we did.
This
Where
convention is AMTC, y'all. I don't know why I feel like I'm making people skip
it
around
was
the name.
it was at AMTC where a young lady after one of the panels, the last one where I was a guest, she came up to me and she said, "I'm really struggling with trying to figure out if I need to go to fashion design school, pursue acting." I said, "Who said you had to choose?" And
Right.
she just hugged me. I was like, "You don't have to choose."
Yep.
I
you
did
know,
the same
I
thing the other day when my son was at McDonald's. He was like, "Do I get the cheeseburger Happy Meal or the chicken nuggets?" And I was like, "We blowing money today. We getting both of them. We getting two toys, cheeseburgers and chicken." Seriously, why choose? I'm with you, Nori. I'm sorry.
because you don't know. Listen, you there's tomorrow's not guaranteed for
Right.
us,
Yeah.
right? So if you get the feeling, if you get hit by a bug, if you get bitten by an inclination, follow it. And it's wild, I think, because I'm the youngest. There's 8 of us. I'm the youngest, and
Wow.
I'm considered the boheme, the hippie, the wild child. You don't know what's next. And but it's affirming to have parents. At least, well, my mom, she's always like, "I'm surprised you're not living in India somewhere." I always saw that, wanderlust, that curiosity in you that, all right, what's next? Where we going? Where we going? Where we going? My dad he texted me when I started acting, when I finally left Baltimore for 2 years straight. He was like, "When you coming home? When you coming home? When you coming home?" And his thing was, I can't, if something happens, I can't get to you. My dad's an OG. He's like, "I need to know where all my, so I can put hands on whoever I need to put hands on if I need to, get to you." And then about a few years into my journey, I got a postcard of him. It was when he was on the shore. He was in Hawaii. I never know he went to Hawaii in the 80s, and it just said, "Good luck, Shorty." It was a picture of himself in the postcard. And so having the affirmation of a foundation of people, because everyone doesn't have that, and I don't take that for granted, that are like, you always have somewhere to come home to, but do you? Go do you. And some of us are so afraid of disappointing the foundation that we've launched from, so afraid of doing something that's going to be considered a failure, or something that's not successful, or something that, especially as Black people, we are so bound to survival, right? We are so tied into the fact that before anything, we got to survive the police. We got to survive putting food on the table. We got to survive this economy. We got to survive so many different things that creativity is often looked at as like, child, please, and but it's essential. It's essential that we get out of survival and into self-affirmation as people, because that is just as much of a part of survival as food, clothing, shelter. If we can find a way to affirm ourselves spiritually, a lot of us will be a lot better off and unafraid, to take the risks that other people just get afforded to them sometimes.
I agree. Actually, you know what? That's one of those nuggets where I don't even want to say anything more after that because that needs to resonate and marinate and hopefully manifest.
As he continues to
So
talk.
I, I I received the space though for the nugget to grow. Thank
yeah, so the good thing about this is digital, so they can always go back like Stone was talking. What she say again? So Noree, I would like to thank you so much for joining us today. It was a beautiful addition. You brought what I thought you were going to brought, or thought you were going to bring. I just need you to bring some grammatical skills for me, and I'll be all right. If you could do us all a favor and just let us know, where we can find you on in the social media world. For those that I'm sure there's after this, there's going to be some people that want to follow you and keep track of you and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
all four of them, all four of our followers are gonna definitely be following you. When you
you.
see that thing go from 25,600 to 25,603, that came from Life on
That's me.
Podcast.
That's all
Yeah.
you. Listen, it's quality, not quantity. But I am Noree Victoria everywhere. Noree Victoria. That's uh, Instagram, Twitter. People have been trying to drag me in the clubhouse. I don't know if we'll see.
If you find the right room,
Yeah.
you can actually have conversations like this.
I've heard.
Yeah.
And so I'm open. I'm open. I'm on Facebook, but I don't have that on my phone. I streamline my digital consumption. But Twitter and Instagram, hit me up. I'm
Noree
there.
Victoria, y'all. Thank you. Jay, where can they find you, bro?
Just Johnny Vaughn, JustJonyVan, everywhere. And of course, lifeonpodcast.com. I'm going to say that before Stone do his thing because he got the two zeros and the two O's, and it's always convoluted. So,
Just so y'all know, I hate that. I wish I could say Stone 007 everywhere, but there's a dude that will not come off the Stone 007 on Instagram. I've offered money. He won't come off it.
matter of fact,
So,
Noree, listen, before I let Stone do it, now that we know how high your power runs, we need you to help us find this person and get them up off that screen name.
You need a Ray Donovan?
I need a
Yeah.
Ray Donovan. I need a Ray Donovan because he's not even responding at this
Who do
point.
we know? Go ahead, Stone.
So basically on Instagram, it's Stone 007. That's Stone letter O 7. And on Instagram, Stone 007, man. And like Johnny said, you can always find us at lifeonpodcast.com, which is the hub for everything. Noree, again, thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was so great
Thank
catching
you.
up. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
My pleasure. It's great
Appreciate
to
it.
connect with you too.
Y'all go out there, be great. Don't forget to share and tell your friends about it. Have an amazing week. We'll see you next time. Love you. Peace.
Signing off.